On the heels of the Royals Stadium announcement, we have way more answers than we've had for years, but several questions still remain. We mentioned state funding and how the city manager is still working to secure more. The way it's written, Missouri's Show Me Sports Investment Act already could cover up to half of stadium construction costs. Right now, it looks like the state's on the hook for nearly $400 million, give or take. House Speaker John Patterson tells me, as far as he's concerned, the General Assembly's work is done for the most part.
If you're working on things like infrastructure, I think those are things we can talk about: roads, bridges, things that we need that the public would benefit from. But I think the Show Me Sports Investment Act is a significant investment going forward. You're probably unlikely to see more for the stadiums.
Speaker points out state money from the incentive plan could also be used to create parking for fans, something critics have said could be limiting around the ballpark. Let's get to our roundtable of journalists here. Please welcome back Brian Ellison, senior news analyst for KCUR, and KMBC9 political reporter Michael Mahoney. Gentlemen, welcome back. Good to see you. We have a lot to talk about. First off, quite a bit still has to happen for this deal to fall into place, as we just heard. What questions do you still have after last week's announcement?
Well, and I think a lot of these questions are some of those that you were asking, City Manager Mario Vasquez. How much money, from what sources? When we talk about the public financing pieces of this, I'm just not sure we know. I think the other question I have is who in the city is making the case for why, apart from the dollars and cents, apart from whether this is financially justifiable, why is baseball good for the city? Why is it so important to make a public investment in a downtown ballpark at this moment? Yes, there are other needs. Some of the objections that have been raised about there's not enough affordable housing, there's still problems fighting crime and poverty. But why is baseball good for the city, and who is going to make that case other than the people who are profiting from baseball?
I think, as a baseball fan, and all three of us are, I think Kansas City believes it's important to have a major league signature in terms of being a big city in the United States, and so that goes for keeping the Chiefs in the region as well as keeping the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City. The other thing to remember on this is there are so many moving parts to this that are still unresolved, and it's going to be weeks and maybe months before all of this has been shaken out. The precise money from the state, for example, all Governor Keogh would say last week was that we're going to pay for about a third of that. It's going to be based on the $15 to $17 million that in taxes that are generated from the baseball team. That works out to somewhere between $450 and $500 million over 30 years. And then the other thing is this community benefits agreement. People that have been around here for a while would remember that's where the new airport renovation almost fell apart, was over exactly what was supposed to be in that. The community benefits agreement, the amount of state money, the ability of whether or not Jackson County contributes anything at all, the safeguards for the taxpayers, all those things are important and they need to be worked out still.
Yeah, we heard from the city manager that he is talking with county leaders in whatever way that means, but we know 2 years ago that blew up in the county's face, in the Royals' face, as far as the stadium sales tax renewal. This does not involve voters this time. What should we read into that?
Well, I think the devil is in the details, as always. I think we heard, as Michael noted, about the community benefits arrangement understandings, but I also heard from the city manager that the couching of this in the terms of other development agreements. He talked about the West Bottoms. He talked about previous investments in other parts of the city. This is something the city does usually without the approval of voters. It's part of a city investing in its community, deciding on what's a public good and what's worth putting public dollars at risk for. A vote, as we had in 2024, was actually pretty unusual because it involved that countywide sales tax. So what should we read into it? I think what we read into it, first of all, there is a political aspect. They didn't want another vote. But I think more broadly, we read into it that the city sees this as part of a regular economic development package, the same kind of thing they do every year in different parts of the city. It shouldn't be treated as something exorbitant or something special or something exceptional.
In a sense, if you got down to it and talked to the mayor and probably the city manager and some supporters of this initiative on the city council, they would say, look, this is what we do with street maintenance, this is what we do with bonds for the parks, and we never go to the voters for those sorts of things because we don't have to. And you're right, politically politically, they'd rather not have to do that as well, Brian. I agree with you.
Not
100%.
worth the risk for them, yeah,
Right.
potentially.
Right.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Michael Mahoney, Brian Ellison, thank you so much. Count on KMBC 9 News and Heart of the Matter as we track the latest developments in this stadium saga, the deals taking shape, and what they mean for you. It's all on air and online at KMBC.com.